Should I 26F leave my fiancé 29M? Oh boy, where do I start with this? This is my first time posting here, but I'm feeling really stuck and need some outside opinions. Also not sure if it's worth mentioning, this is my first and only relationship I've been in. So me and my partner have been together for 7 years this October, and we got together really quickly. We started going out with 2 weeks of meeting each other, and at 2 months since meeting we ended up moving in together due to circumstances at the time. To start off with, everything was amazing. I had been going through a really rough, dark time, edge of suicide, so to finally find someone I got along with so well and seemed to always be there for me, it was like a blessing. Life had started anew for me, as cheesy as that is. Looking back at now, I should have seen the red flags when we started living together. I didn't want to think anything along the lines at the time. I had someone that I could share my interests and could express myself to. He even helped me get therapy for the state I was in at the time. We worked hard together to make things work at the time. He helped me get a job and we shared the housework. I would even get up super early in the morning to make him a lunch to take to work, uni with him, as he was having to drive a lot at the time. He often told me these different health problems he had, and he gave me a friend's number who I spoke to, who confirmed all this, and wanting to be the best partner I could be, I wanted to whatever I could to help. This however resulted in me doing a lot of things over the following years that I have not been comfortable with. Over time I became more and more that the things I was doing were not to help with any health issues but were actually his fetishes and fantasies. Things always worked out to be in his favor, but of course, this was all coincidental. I couldn't ever go anywhere without him. If I ever made plans to go out or see anyone, he would have a day where his health issues would play up, and I would have to stay home to look after him. Or if I was already out, I'd get messages he was unwell, and the friend would be messaging me he needs me home. I understand these things can't be helped, but it was every single time that this would happen. It got to the point I never planned anything anymore. I didn't talk to anyone, friends or family. There was this one Mother's Day where obviously I went to spend the day with my mum. I was getting messages all day that his mum had sent him horrible messages and he was struggling and he was losing his mind and was out lost in a field hanging out of trees. In the end I had to cut the day short and go home. My mum wasn't happy. In fact, she got angry with me on several occasions that I was cutting her out of my life, and she was hurt. I also had to cut down on the things that I had liked over the years. Where we do have common interests, we also had some that clashed. Anything I had that he didn't like ended up getting thrown out, or I had to keep boxed away. I like my gore and horror, which he doesn't. Fair enough, I get that. But to come home and find out he had thrown some of my stuff out because he didn't like it, that hurt. The one that hurt the most was this plush I had made. When I went through my previous dark phase, this plush had meant everything to me and had gone everywhere with me. It was a character I had made years prior that I held dearly. It seems childish now, but at the time it meant the word to me. Well, he didn't like this plush or this character for some reason. So between him and now the 2 friends I had messaging me, I ended up having to throw it out and all the things related to the character. This was 3 years into the relationship, but even now this hurts me so much. There were things that he had that I didn't take to or wasn't too keen on. On top of all the bondage stuff that kept turning up, he also started to collect things he liked, plushies, figures, etc. He would keep all the plushies up on the bed and make me say good night to each one, knowing that the single one I had and cherished was now gone. He claimed his friend was buying all this stuff for him as well. Apparently he needed all of this stuff because of his health issues. He was always so stressed, and living his fantasies and having all these possessions helped ease the stress and keep the health problems at bay. The friends would message me that if I didn't do these things that he could end up really ill, end up in hospital, or could even die. Whenever he was going through a bad spout, I blamed myself so much because I was struggling to do what he needed and I couldn't push myself enough, and it was all my fault he was getting so ill. It was at this 3-year mark that I had originally tried to sit down with him and say things weren't working out. I couldn't keep doing the things he wanted, needed, and I wished he could go find someone that could, because there are so many people out there that would be up for all this kind of stuff. He of course would get upset that he loved me and only me, and he wouldn't be able to go on if I left. The friends would message me angrily saying how could I be so ungrateful, they've never known someone to love someone as much as he loves me. He would do anything for me and he's the nicest guy they've ever known. I was then getting stories of all these ways he would killing himself. Driving into a fuel station, off a cliff, gas himself in the car. I was so scared I would kill him if I left, so I stayed. Soon after this point he proposed to me, and hoping that things would eventually get easier I said yes. I did love him still. After all, I enjoyed being with him, we had good moments still. I was so tired at this point though. I was working 60+ hours a week and coming home to his needs whilst trying to not lose myself. All my pay was going to his account to try cover bills. He covered all the financial stuff and he always said we were tight on money, that if he could give any back he would, but never did. It hurt when he kept receiving stuff in the post, but these were gifts from friends and so not my business. I had had a spoilt childhood. I had a lot growing up, whereas he told me he had had a rough childhood, so I saw this as his making up for what he missed out on. We eventually moved again, away from any family or anyone we knew. It was going to be a new start for both of us. I soon got another job. I hadn't been there long and my new colleagues were already saying something didn't right, and that he didn't respect me. I always chalked it up that I really didn't want to become that stereotypical female partner that would nag and get upset if things weren't done her way. I just wanted to do my part to make the relationship as equal as I could, so I did sacrifice a lot of my things. I'm sure he did just as well. Nothing had eased off at this point. In fact, the things I had to do got more and more intense. He would also get me to call him a she and dress up all girly. I have no problem with this. People can be who they want to be. But it's not someone I ever saw myself in a relationship with, and if I ever wanted to express myself in any boyish manner he would get majorly upset with me. Why was it okay one way and not the other? My colleagues would ask what was wrong as I would cry at work from time to time. I was just being selfish. He needed my help to not get ill, so I had to these things whether I liked them or not. I didn't say anything. I had mentioned small things in the past and he would get upset with me as I was making out he was a bad person and I was hurting him. I didn't want to that. That was the last thing I wanted. Since we moved, my mood had been rapidly decreased. I started self-harming again, turning to alcohol to get through a lot of the days. Things started changing finally last year, 2020. June was the last I had heard from his friends. The first had previously passed in some casualty. The second friend, who I had been told was a spirit that resided in his body who had been able to tell me all his health issues when they occurred, just decided it was time to disappear. August the 1st had been round a colleague's house for a small party. I had drunk way too much. I came home and had tried to end myself. We ended up with the paramedics out. I hadn't managed to do anything to myself and they referred me for further help. Since then I have been put on medication and finally found the strength to open up to friends and family. Even some of my friends at work. I've even managed to confront him about a lot of things. He has lied to me so much. Both the friends that used messaged me, telling me to carry on with his needs and pressuring me, telling me I was selfish and ungrateful. They had both been him. He knew how much I had struggled and he, I guess, just didn't care. All those things that were coming through the post, bondage, dresses, expensive figures, that's where all my money from my jobs had gone. I thought I was helping with bills, but I was funding his fetish. I can't say for certain if any of his health issues are true or not, but I can say he hasn't been nearly as ill as he used to be since this all came up. He's now since promised he's going to sort out help, and that he's going to do his best to change. I really want to give him the chance, but I really can't find it in me to trust him, let alone see him in the same way. The entire relationship has been a lie. This has all been happening since the start. I feel like such an idiot. I knew things never added up for a while, but when I was receiving messages to this or he will die, don't leave or he will commit suicide, it wasn't a risk I wanted to take. I am still not convinced he isn't lying to me now though. He guilted me into signing up for a mortgage a few months ago, which at the very last minute friends convinced me to back out of. So now there's a cancellation fee that needs to be paid. He kept going on about how stressed he is that he can't pay this fee and we're going to be in big trouble if it continues. Well, the other day he turned round and said that he had had a savings account in the side with £1,000 in and had already paid off half of the fee. So I guess where I am now is, have I just been a selfish asshole this entire time? Should I give this another chance? Am I just being paranoid? Of course all my friends and family have said get out, but I don't want to just give up on a relationship, but I'm also asking, was there a relationship to start with? I've been told what I've been through is manipulative and borderline abusive. But if he does just have some problems he needs to work through, wouldn't it be cruel for me to leave? I could go on and on about further little things that got to me over the years, but I don't want to rant on too much. Lol, I'm sorry this is already so long. So I guess I'm just wondering if I can get some opinions, if that's okay?